Okay, so we're going to take a look at the concepts from 3.5. So I have here a table, and it is showing us the cost of making copies at a store. So the store charges you a fee just to use the copier, and then it charges you for every copy that you make. And so here is the table um, showing you the cost at that store. So, what is the increase in cost when you go from 3 to 7 copies? And here I show how we do this. We're going to take the cost, which is 441 minus for 7, and then 389 for 3. I subtract them to get 52 cents. And since 7 copies is 4 more than 3, how much did it cost for each copy? And you should have gotten, sorry, I thought I had a slide for that. If we take 52 cents divided by 4, we get 13 cents for each copy. Let's take a look at another two situations here that we can take look at. So here we're going to take a look at the increase in cost when you go from 7 to 15 copies, and then determine how many copies that increase is. Okay, and this is how we do it. We're going to subtract the two costs, 545 for 15 minus 441 for 7 to get 104, and then 15 copies minus 7 copies to get 8 copies. And then I want you to figure out the cost per copy. And you should have taken $1.04 divided by 8 copies to get 13 cents per copy again. So the big thing here is we're talking about rate of change. Both of those examples, we're looking at a table and using that table to find rate of change. So number of copies in this case would be our input, and our output is the cost. We often think of input as our x variable and output as our y variable. So we're going to input the copies. Depending on how many copies we make, we figure out how much it costs. And then we can see over here, we have the change in input. The change in input is when we subtract two of those values and we get a number. And then the change in output is subtracting two of those values. Notice when I do this, these two values match these two, right? So 545 goes with the 15 copies from the table, right? Those two values go together. So the $4.45 goes with the 15 copies, and the $4.41 goes with the 7 copies. That's important that those two things that they correspond, they go together. And then when I divide those values, I get my rate of change per one, right? And we call this is the way to get the rate of change is we take our change in our input over the change in our output. And remember, when we do that, they just have to match. So if you're taking the cost for 20 copies, then you'll put the cost up top and you'll put 20 on the bottom, and then you subtract it by for 15 copies, right? The 545 would be what you subtracted, and the 15 would be subtracted from 20, and then you can divide. Yeah, can't find my thing. Oh, there it is. Okay, so um, this is just a kind of summary slide. It's in your book as well, but I wanted to again remind us of our intercept form that we talked about before, which is y equals a plus bx. Remember, a was our y-intercept. And we found that when x was 0, when our input value is 0, we get that a value. And b is the rate of change. We talked about that yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Anyway, we talked about that before as well. And we can see here that they've written out how to find your rate of change.